Hey, Kano. He looked up to see Kuze standing beside him, his expression grave. I have an update on Sasayama, the director began. Kano swallowed the lump in his throat. It seems the knife went in deep enough to do some organ damage. He's in critical condition. I see. Kano bit his lip hard. His handkerchief, red with Sasayama's blood, clung to the wrapping paper of Sasayama's present. Kano peeled it away carefully so as not to tear the paper underneath. What's that? Asked Kuze. Sasayama had me hold on to this for him. It's a present for his wife. Ah, I see. I'm sorry, Director Kuze, for ignoring your orders. Kano's eyes remained fixed on the gift as he spoke. When you get down to it, none of this would have happened if it weren't for me. Some kind of punishment was surely headed his way for acting alone as he had. He probably wasn't getting out of this one with a simple written apology. When public servants are negligent in their duties or violate regulations, they can be punished with a warning, or a formal reprimand, reduction in pay, suspension, or dismissal. In the case of a warning, in addition to the remonstration from a direct supervisor, the individual must also submit a formal letter explaining the relevant details and assuring that it won't happen again. But Kuze calmly shook his head. What happened to Sasayama isn't your fault. Don't blame yourself, he said. As far as this case goes, I've been given quite the runaround myself. There was a rare note of vulnerability in Kuze's voice. The higher-ups have barely let any information trickle my way, but they're still ordering me around non-stop. It's a real pain in the ass. Kuze felt silent, ruminating. The quiet lingered between the two men for several moments before he abruptly spoke again. Oh, right. I'd like to get your opinion on something. So, Mamoru Tanaka, who we found in the minivan, you know? What'd you think? Should we ought to maybe release his name to the media? Now sandwich? Now sandwich. Kuze had slipped into his childish register. He was clearly exhausted. After dealing with the kidnappers' baffling actions and too much meddling from the higher-ups, even a veteran like Kuze is just beat. But that's not the only reason for his exhaustion. Kuze has a brother, 6 years his senior, who, despite being nominally mature, refuses to get a real job and shows no inclination to settle down with a family. He walks around town day after day dressed like a hippie and treating passerbys to songs he'd written. Kuze has been worrying about his shiftless brother for years now. The guy's become a chronic source of consternation. I'm 90% sure we ran into this guy over the course of the game. Just had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Yum. I have not eaten yet today. I had like a breakfast shake thingy. I take like a nutritional shake thing, but I haven't eaten other food. I should do that after the stream. Kano was thrown by the question. It was a rare thing for the director to seek an opinion from a mere junior detective. It feels like there's something not too normal about one of Kenji Osawa's subordinates dying, Kuze went on. You're allergic to peanuts? Oh man. Kano had had the same thought. This felt too intentional to be a coincidence. So here's the question. Should I get the media involved and try to rush for a resolution, or should I try to be more cautious? What would you do? About releasing the name? Kano asked. That wasn't such a simple thing to answer. There's so many factors to consider. A tired smile came to Kuze's face. Don't think about it so hard. This is just so I have a point of reference. Tell me what your gut says. Okay, so if we release the name, at the very least, Minorikawa might be able to find out that it was Tanaka in the car, not Toyama, right? What would that do, though? Saying that it's the name, guts can't talk. I don't know. Sometimes my gut makes some weird noises. If we release on Osawa's end of things, it would embarrass Okoshi Pharmaceuticals, but would that help us or not? I don't know. I think we should release it. Let's see where this goes. I think releasing the name should be alright. There's still a lot they don't know about Tanaka. The fact that the final stop for a ransom related to Tanaka's condo implied some sort of connection between him and the kidnappers. But I still had no idea what his role in the abduction might have been. They also didn't have any motive for why Tanaka would be helping the kidnappers in the first place. By sharing some of what they did know with the public, they might be able to garner some new leads. You'd release the name? Alright then. Without another word, Kuze headed back toward the conference room. On the TV, the governor's press conference was still going on. I've just requested that each of the railroad companies, starting with JR, stop running trains through Shibuya Station until further notice. As far as the roads go, Route 246 has already been closed to traffic. The executive looked pale as he spoke to the crowd. Is there any possibility of a bioterrorist attack? What about the people who are still in Shibuya? The reporters unleashed a barrage of questions. The governor's face scrunched up. As I've already made clear, this is not a complete blockade. Because modern Japan does not have a system for enacting martial law, there are few ways that the government could effectively quarantine Shibuya. In the case of a potential viral infection, infectious disease law allows for the city to be partitioned into areas of restricted movement. If the authorities do not want to acknowledge the existence of a top-secret UA virus, however, taking such action would be rather tricky legally. There's nothing to stop anyone from leaving Shibuya on foot. Isn't that what you're describing de facto martial law? Isn't what you're describing de facto martial law, spat one reporter. Of course not, the governor snapped. You should be well aware that martial law is illegal. I couldn't declare it even if I wanted to. If you wanted to, so this is a bioterrorist issue then. I never said anything of the sort. The press conference was devolving into chaos. Kano was unsurprised given the circumstances. Still, everyone was doing their best insofar as they knew how. So why not me, Kano thought. It doesn't matter what I do. I just want to be doing something. Just letting time tick by without trying to take action was more than he could bear. Kano. Worried about Rumi, was worried about Sasayama, I thought about Sasayama's wife and decided, let's talk to Sasayama's wife. Kano thought about Sasayama's wife and decided to get in touch with her. He called Sasayama's home phone, but nobody picked up. Perhaps she'd gone to the hospital? With that in mind, Kano called up Shibuya Central Hospital and asked them to transfer him to Mrs. Sasayama. After a little while, a woman's voice came through the receiver. Yes, this is Mrs. Sasayama. Her voice was thin and reedy. My name's Shinya Kano. I work with your husband on the force. What happened? He didn't know what to say. He couldn't find the words. I wish I'd been there when he'd gone to make that arrest, he blurted out at last. I should have tried to get there and back him up sooner, if I hadn't been too late. He trailed off, hoping he hadn't said too much. Sasayama's wife answered in a gentle, quavering voice. Thank you so much for your concern. I'm glad that my husband is lucky enough to have a colleague like you. No, I couldn't. I married a detective, Mr. Kano. I've prepared myself for the possibility that something like this might happen. But she certainly didn't sound like she was prepared. Kano felt a biting pain in his chest. Your husband gave me something to hold on to for you. I'd like to give it to you if I can. Oh? Well, certainly, but I'd like to stay here by side today, if possible. Of course. I'll head over to the hospital myself then. I hope you don't mind if I pay a visit. Oh, of course not. Sorry to trouble you like this. Thank you so very much. Kano hung up, then hurried out of the precinct. There she is. He was making his way toward the hospital. Kano spotted a girl sitting on the pedestrian overpass. She looked like she was on the verge of tears. Concerned, he stopped beside her. Are you waiting for someone? He asked. The girl simply bit her lip and said nothing. Are you lost? Do you need a policeman? The relatively low crime rate in Japan, combined with rather high police personnel numbers in Tokyo, mean that officers, particularly B-cops, often have plenty of bandwidth to deal with more minor issues. Again, the girl gave no answer. Where did you come from? Kano tried. Still nothing. Still nothing. Not saying anything. He had just decided to go and call for a female officer when the girl hesitatingly spoke at last. Heaven Publishing. After a little coaxing, she told him where that was. It turned out it was on the way to Shibuya Central Hospital, not too far from where they were now. Why don't I take you there then? Kano said. I'm already headed in that direction anyway. The girl seemed a bit reluctant at first, but eventually she agreed to go with Kano. Okay, so this is leading towards our bad ending. Kano parted ways with the girl outside the building where Heaven Publishing was located. He knows that she hesitated to enter at first, but eventually vanished inside. Kano's phone rang as he was about to continue on his way. When he peered at the incoming call display, his heart nearly stopped. I'm sorry, Tateno, but we need to go back in time. So, I think calling or visiting the hospital also is a bad choice, but let's call Rumi instead, because if we call Rumi, that's not going to send us to the hospital. And we won't run into Hana. Began to worry about Rumi and decided to give her a call. The phone rang several times before it went to voicemail. The fact that she hadn't picked up made Kano all the more anxious. He was still staring at his phone when he got a call of his own. When he appeared at the incoming call display, his heart nearly stopped. It was Tateno's name. Okay, so this is the same call that we were getting the other time, but in this case, we prevented Hana from getting kidnapped. Kano quickly pressed the button to accept the call. Detective Tateno? Detective Tateno, is that you? There was a whole mountain of things Kano wanted to ask. Just what had Tateno been doing this whole time? Why had he let Al-Karawan go free? What had happened to Hitomi? While he was trying to decide what question to pose first, Tateno spoke. I've secured Maria Osawa. What? The word came out as a startled gasp. Detective Tateno, you have to bring her here ASAP. Right now she's... Tateno cut him off. You need to bring Hitomi Osawa to my location at once. Hitomi Osawa? Yes. I heard over the wireless that the man from the U.S. Embassy had her in custody. Kano had been listening to the most recent wireless traffic. Apparently Stanley had managed to find Hitomi. What was Tateno getting at here? Wait, hold on. What for? I mean, why do you need me to bring Hitomi Osawa to you? There was no reply. Detective Tateno, answer me, please. Tateno replied as if he hadn't heard Kano's questions. There's an office building in Nanpeidai called South Hill. I'll be waiting for you on the rooftop. If you don't bring her, I'll kill Maria. What is wrong with you? With that grisly warning, he hung up. Kano's hand went limp, his phone slipped from his grasp and fell to the floor. Is the guy with the cane Tateno? Can't be. He needed to get to Tateno and find out what was going on. He started running alone towards Nanpeidai, taking the quickest route through the back streets and alleys. Oh, these two jerks. He almost made it to South Hill when he spotted 3 foreigners in a narrow alley ahead. They were scanning the area as if searching for someone, and when they noticed Kano, they started running right for him. They were all dressed in the same kind of black clothes Al-Karawan wore. Kano recognized them at once, syndicate members who had taken part in the ransom relay. In a matter of moments, they had him cornered. Out of my way, he said, I'm in a hurry. But either they didn't understand him or simply didn't care to respond. Instead, they moved in to attack, pummeling him with fists and kicks. Oh my god. It was 3 against 1. Kano didn't stand a chance. Although he tried desperately to protect himself, soon he was sprawled out on the ground like a used and tattered rag. The men left him where he fell. As they jogged into the distance, he could see them searching again. The deserted alleyway grew quiet as the storm's aftermath. I need to get to Tateno. He strained to reach out for his cell phone, but he couldn't move any of his fingers. How do we avoid this? What the heck? Won't be seen. En route to Nanpeidai, Kano crossed paths with Al-Karawan's cronies, got badly beaten. Ironically, these crooks hadn't been looking for him. Someone else had led them to Nanpeidai, and Kano wound up paying the price as a result. Whomst? Was it Maria? Alright. So let's see. So we're at a bad end over here. We're at a to be continued there. We haven't started Maria yet. Osawa's done. And we have once again saved Minorikawa from dying. So let's go back to Minorikawa and see what the heck is going on. Okay, so sheaf of papers, here you go. Yeah, so this is all the same. We're gonna yell at her and tell her to do things from scratch. Okay. Wow, shush, quiet phone. I said quiet phone. Google account shared a file with you. That doesn't sound suspicious at all. Okay, I can do it. I will do it. That's the spirit. Now these guys, these buffoons are going to start clapping at us. Stinking peanut gallery. Yeah. And they're gonna try to make me sign this. Bond of recognizance. Okay. If you don't have a stamp, we'll gladly accept a signature as well. Face it, pal. If you don't hurry up and sign, you're never gonna stop going after the girl. Mr. Mino, you can't do this. Think about what you're doing, Chiaki shouted. If you go through with this, you'll just wind up like Mr. Tayama. I won't. Yes, you will. Just who the hell do you think I am? I'm Minoru Norikawa, damn it! I'm so cool. But why would you take such a risk? Because I owe him so much. I can't stand by and let these scumbags kill his daughter. And this is where she showed up before. So instead we sign it. Norikawa readied his pen and signed the document. Alright, Sagawa cheered. Now we're talking. A satisfied grin came to Ozu's face as he reached for the contract. Before he could pick it up, Chiaki snatched it from the desk. I like her key earrings and her little, like, rose hairpin. I'm not letting you do this! Crumbling the paper, she stuffed it right in her mouth. Hey, Sagawa, stop! What the hell are you doing? Tried to force Chiaki's mouth open. Don't you dare, you bitch! Despite his frantic efforts, Chiaki managed to gulp the wad of paper down. She actually ate it. What a champ. Sagawa blinked a few times. Oh, you did not just do that. Ozu looked on, dumbstruck. Guess you gotta get a new contract from the office, boss. Bring as many as you want, Chiaki declared. I'll just keep eating them. Girl, you're some kind of damn goat or something? The mental image of a goat eating paper is a common one, dating back to long ago when paper was made solely out of plant material. If a goat were to eat modern paper, the wad of chemically treated pulp would go undigested and probably cause an intestinal blockage. So please do not feed paper to goats. Sagawa shoved Chiaki up against the desk. Ow, cut it out! That hurts! And this is where we see that this is where we find out that it was Tanaka in the car. As she struggled to resist, Chiaki lurched toward the desk, planting one of her hands atop the TV remote control. One of her fingers happened to land on the volume up button. The sound from the television set soon hit max volume. We have just learned the identity of the victim killed in the explosion. Shibuya resident and a pharmaceutical executive. Shibuya resident? Norikawa tilted his head in confusion. Tayama didn't live in Shibuya. Once again, the victim of the explosion was Shibuya resident and pharmaceutical company executive Mamoru Tanaka. The cause of the explosion remains unknown. The police are still in the process of following up several potential leads. The site of the incident remains an alarming scene, with relief workers continuing to tend to the wounded. The four people in the editing office spoke in near unison. Huh? Who's Tanaka? I love this picture right here. Yay, okay. Good news, everybody. We found out how to not make Minorikawa die. And now Maria has some explaining to do. Oh boy, Maria, do you have some explaining to do. Yeah, don't you smile at me. Okay, you can smile. So that has to be Tateno. I walk counter to the throng of people heading towards the scene of the explosion. The explosion happened in Shibuya-ku, Jinan 1 Chrome Chome, near the intersection of Koendori and Oregon Hill. Thank you. There's a gun pressing against my back, leaving me no choice but to continue marching forward. I don't have time for this right now. There's something I need to do. My frantic sense of urgency grows and grows. Kanan. The only clue I have is that name. The other hazy snippet that have surfaced in my memory provide no answers. Okay, no one else's story so far. We've run into in this hour, I should say. We've run into Yanagashita. So he has to show up here. Please, just tell me, I murmured. Do you know who I am? When the man with the cane doesn't answer, I stop in my tracks. I'm gonna start shouting, I warn him. If you want to find out who you are, then do as I say. The barrel of the gun jabs more forcefully into my back. Once you find Hitomi Osawa, you'll remember whether you like it or not. Guess I have no choice but to keep moving then. Are your memories really that precious to you? The man mutters as we start to move again. Taken aback by the question. Well, yes, I mean, isn't that pretty normal? There's a bit of a pause before he replies, his voice sad and distant. You're not gonna remember just the good times, you know. What do you mean? I mean that sad and painful memories are gonna resurface too. I guess I hadn't really thought about that. But still, whatever kind of memories they are, they're all a part of me. I'm the person I am now because of the sorrow and the pain too, unless this guy's just working for Tateno. I want to remember. I want to remember who I am. The gunman directs me dispassionately along a series of quiet side streets. Right here. I stop at his words. In front of us is an old multi-tenant office building. We ride the elevator to the 8th floor, then use the emergency exit to take the stairs up to the rooftop. A cool breeze blows across my cheek. Sit down here. I do as he says, settling myself in the outdoor air conditioning unit. The man lowers his gun but keeps it in hand. We'll wait here for a bit. For how long? He lets out a rueful chuckle. Guess we'll have to wait and see. I decide there's no point in trying to fight with him. For now, I have to hope he's telling the truth, and whatever's coming will help me get my memories back. If I don't know about my past, how can I know what to do about this Kanan stuff or anything else? I stare up at the sky as I wait for whatever this assassin is waiting for. Silence between us is suffocating. Finally, I can't take it any longer. Hey, so I think this is yours. I hold out the notebook I picked up earlier. The man's surprise is plain on his face. Where'd you get that? I saw the picture inside. He snatches the book out of my hand. Then he flips through it looking sad. I'm afraid that another agonizing silence is about to descend when he speaks at last. This is a picture of me and my childhood friends. His voice is low and quiet. We were inseparable back when we were kids. This boy here, he liked to fiddle with machines, always doing things like taking apart radios and whatnot and putting them back together. He was a total bookworm too, so he got picked on a lot. But I was always there to save him from the bullies. All of a sudden the guy is in a sharing mood, I guess. I feel his aura of murderous rage starting to abate. The girl here was the same age as us, but she felt more like a big sister. Whatever stupid things my other friend and I got up to, she was always willing to laugh it off. Yeah, let's just keep listening. We both had a thing for her. A bashful little smile comes to his face. I'm pretty sure that's Tanaka. When we were in high school, she told me that she liked me too. So the two of us started dating. I guess not. But I just have to ask, what about the other guy? He never said anything. I'm not sure how he felt deep down. Oh, alright. So then, is she your wife now? No, we broke up not too long afterward. The man carefully slips the notebook into the pocket inside his jacket. How come? It was nothing in particular, really. Things just didn't work out. He lets out a little chuckle and stands up and brushes the dust off his pants. He looks strangely lonely. Don't you keep out at me. That's not the correct thing to do in this situation to me right now. So where are we stuck? We're stuck with Kano Okay, so the only thing I can think of is those thugs were chasing us over here, right? I'm pretty sure that's the only thing that we can change. They're chasing us around here somewhere. Were they chasing us over here? Yeah, because it's right after we turned our phone on, but I don't think we can chase we can change anything with the choices we make. Yeah, this is the race after them and die option, so I don't want to do that. Where the actual heck do we make the difference? Because it said here that they were chasing after someone else. It wasn't you. I'm gonna leave you alone. It wasn't here. It wasn't here. Yeah, true identity. I don't think that's gonna make a difference for us either. You know, I need to know. If I say it's Kano, are we not gonna join up with Stanley? This might be the person Kano was warning us about. Oh, you know Kano, do you? The man spoke without changing his facial expression. She let a few things slip herself. Look, who the hell are you? The man called me. Okay, so it's the exact same thing? Still Jack Stanley. Okay. And so nothing has changed here. Okay. Yeah, I really don't know where we could have changed anything. Yeah, these don't. John Hancock, these don't affect that as far as I know. This should also not affect things. It's just a funny. Yeah, that shouldn't do anything either. At all. I don't know. Now I'm gonna have to look it up. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Interesting. Okay. Da, 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 da. Got that one. Okay, I got that one. Yeah, I have no idea where I went wrong here. Give me a second. There's like a Game FAQs has a guide, but it's a get all of the bad endings also guide, so I'm not sure like where it's the actual correct response, you know? So let's see. Okay, so we're stuck over there. Achi's. Yeah, that led to a thingy there. Da-da-da-da-da. No. That was a bad ending there. Okay, that was that. Do-do-do-do. Okay, got that too. Kano. I got that. Yeah, I got that also. Okay. It's a lot of bad endings you can get in this hour. Okay, Harakawa. Sorry, take a look at that. When it gets caught. Okay. Oh, okay, there it is. Alright, so let's see. Harakawa, stand up and head to the hospital. Drive by the hospital for a bit. We did that. Okay, so we got to the end of Hachi's thing. Kano. Where do we go? We got a bad ending, Kano. Okay, why did we... Okay, so let's see. Hachi, we have... Head to the hospital. This might be the difference here. So last time I said I'll remember that when this is all done, and we didn't go there, and then we ended up being chased by those guys. This was, yeah, you know what, this was the option. We ended up being chased by the guys and winding up at the hospital anyway. But will we still be chased if we go straight to the hospital? That's the issue. That would be more than okay with me. Long last, Tomi smiled at him. Back in sync, Achi and Tomi head to the hospital. Okay, so that's the difference. Last time we were heading towards our dad's house, or the Endo Electronics, and that's where we got chased, and that's why those thugs were where they were, that's still good. And okay, all right, beautiful, wonderful. We've saved the run. Don't worry. He's still staring at his phone and got a call of his own. So here's Tateno again. So we saw this part. Tateno's telling us to come to the rooftop. So does that mean that's Tateno with Maria? I guess so. It has to be. you don't bring Hitomi, Maria is dead. Yep. Kano went to South Hill and Nanpei-dai alone. Building takes its name from a rough translation of Nanpei-dai, the name of the area where it's located. The official name is South Hill Building, but since it's awkward to say, it's frequently shortened. He hadn't brought Hitomi as Tateno had demanded, nor had he reported the situation to Kuze. First, he wanted to meet with Tateno and find out what was going on. He took the elevator to the 8th floor. After that, he had to take the stairs to the rooftop. As he made his way up to the steps, he tried to imagine what Tateno might want with Hitomi. He hadn't noticed anything suspicious about the senior detective in the lead-up to the stakeout of the Scramble. To Tateno, it seemed like the same man Kano had always revered. Excuse me. So why was he doing this? Kano couldn't think of a reason. Reaching the top of the staircase, he at last stepped out onto the open roof. This time, the time for half-baked conjecture was past. Kano would lay his doubts at Tateno's feet. Then, soon enough, everything would become clear. Inwardly, Kano did his best to convince himself of that. A warm breeze blew against his cheek. He took a look around but saw no sign of Tateno. "Detective Tateno, where are you?" Getting no response, he began to walk around the rooftop, calling out several more times. "It's Kano, I've come as you asked. You were supposed to bring Hitomi. Where's Hitomi Osawa?" Kano whirled around when he heard the voice behind him. Tateno stepped into view from behind a water tank. "It is him! Oh no!" He led with him a young woman bound and blindfolded. "Why didn't you bring her?" he growled. Kano stared in shock. "Detective Tateno, why are you doing this? Is that really Maria?" "Alright, now let's jump back to her. We got this." I heard a faint voice and realized the man is listening to a wireless radio. "I've managed to secure Hitomi Osawa at Shibuya Central Hospital," the voice says. Of course he's listening in on all of that. Gleam comes to the gunman's eyes. He pulls his cell phone from his jacket and hurriedly makes a call. "Secured Maria Osawa," he says to whoever's on the other end. "Huh? Maria Osawa? Is my name Maria Osawa?" "You need to bring Hitomi Osawa to my location at once." Hitomi Osawa? If I'm Maria Osawa, what sort of relationship do I have to Hitomi? "If you don't bring her, I'll kill Maria." Then my captor hangs up. Were you serious just now?" My voice wavers uncontrollably. "What do you mean you'll kill me?" "Don't look at me like that." He steps in close to me, his expression dangerous. The killer's edge that he'd lost during our little talk is back in full force. Just bear with me a little longer. He blindfolds my eyes with some sort of towel. I can't see through it at all. Just then I hear Kanan's voice inside my head. My memories are like shards of broken glass tumbling through my mind, all out of sequence. How are you able to do that when the string is so tangled up? Oh, once you know the trick to it, you can do it with your eyes closed. I'm showing Kanan how to do a cat's cradle. Y'all ever do a cat's cradle, like play with cat's cradle as a kid? I remember I did that when I was much younger. It was very cool to get it in all the little configurations and stuff. She reaches out for the string. Huh? She doesn't get a hold of it. Quite right. What gives? Despite her efforts, the string gets all jumbled up. No, not like that, I say. Hook your index fingers through the front part of the string. No, I get that. Kanan's getting irritated. After giving it a few more tries, she finally manages to pull it off. There we go, she says, look at that. Seeing her innocent little smile bolsters my own spirits. That's neat. Thanks for teaching me. Oh, it's nothing special. Here, as a thanks, let me teach you some skills to help protect yourself. I was a baby. Abruptly, my memory jumps forward a bit. It's fun to do stuff like that. Kano had been training me in some form of self-defense. Techniques for protecting oneself when attacked. Rather than defeating the opponent, self-defense training generally prioritizes simply getting oneself away from danger. Some people consider behavioral tenets such as run away when you're attacked or don't go near dangerous places to be forms of self-defense as well. Don't overthink it, she says. People will either try to punch you, kick you, or grab you. If you can stay ready for those three things, you'll be able to take it from there. She demonstrates some defensive movements as I watch. I follow suit, doing my best to mimic her. Okay, let's do this. Whoa! Kano throws a punch at me. I dodge, grab her by the wrist, and give her arm a hard twist. Incredibly, she goes whirling through the air. She lands nimbly on her feet, a little grin coming to her face. Nicely done, she says. I stare down at my own hand. Did I really just do that? Once you repeat the movements enough, your body will treat them like a second nature. I do as she says, trying to repeat the movements over and over. At first it feels like a silly gimmick, but eventually I can feel the motions growing smoother. There you go, people like those thugs we met before won't get the drop on you again. And we'll be able to dethrone a MMA fighting champion in the future. Thugs? Now my memory zip further back into the past. I was wandering the streets trying to get back to my hotel, but I'd gotten lost. By the time I realized I'd wandered some dodgy back streets, I was already surrounded by people giving me threatening looks. They must have been thugs looking for tourists to rob. If they had caught me, I'm not sure I would have made it out alive. But they hadn't. Kano had seen to that. Thank you so much for what you did for me. I didn't want there to be a scene here, Kano says bluntly. She surveys the aftermath of the thugs' attacks. Hello, Andrew. That's all. How you doing? I happened to be right underneath her apartment window when I was nearly abducted. Bit by bit, my memories of Kano are starting to resurface. Just a little more. Just a little more and I'll have myself back, I'm sure of it. Detective Tateno, where are you? A man's voice suddenly snaps me back into the moment. It's Kano. I've come as you asked. The gunman grabs me by the arm and yanks me to my feet. Where's Hitomi Osawa? He snarls. Why didn't you bring her? Detective Tateno, why are you doing this? Is that really Maria? My captor removes my blindfold. The first thing I see is a huge blimp drifting by slowly overhead. Huh. I'm sure I've seen it before. I'm pretty recently at that. There's a flash of revelation inside my head, like a dam bursting. My memories come flooding back to me. Oh boy. Last night, I was at a party, a sort of mixer with the exchange students. Someone was plotting to use this party as an opportunity to abduct my sister Hitomi. So I told Hitomi that the party started 1 hour later than it really did. I had a plan to let myself get abducted in Hitomi's place. Of course, the idea wasn't just to let myself get kidnapped. The necklace I wore was outfitted with a tiny GPS. Wherever I happened to be taken, Kano would be able to track my location. What we hadn't counted on, though, was my necklace getting torn off when I was attacked. I managed to grab a hold of it, but I hit my head when I was being shoved into the car and it slipped from my grasp. I'm not sure how far we drove after that. In my fuzzy memories, I recall gazing blearily out the car window. Stupid Aya Kamiki thing again. That's when I saw the blimp right after we parked. Yes, it went fine. There was a man talking to someone on a cell phone. Alright, I'll shut her up inside the storeroom. I'll be waiting in the room upstairs. The man dragged me out of the car and shoved me into some dark storeroom. Ooh, Then I guess for good measure you hit me on the head again. That's why we lost our mind. That's right. There's more of it coming back to me now. Oh man, we're getting backstory. You've spent your life living in a country at peace, in Japan. You couldn't possibly understand me. Kanon again, so it's not like she and I became fast friends right away or anything. Two of us are too different in a lot of ways. Where do you draw the line? What would you protect with your life? What does justice mean to you? A forlorn look came to her face whenever Kanon asked me a new question, and I never had a good answer for any of them. My flimsy grasp of my own personal identity made it hard for us to get along, yet I kept visiting Kanon's place for the duration of my trip. I recall doing the cat's cradle there at the table, one time when we didn't have anything particular to talk about. Her eyes had gone wide when she saw me deftly manipulating the string with my fingers. Who taught you how to do that? She asked. My mother. My real mother, that is. Kanon furrowed her brow. What do you mean, real? As opposed to my stepmother, I mean. My birth mother died after getting really sick. I was only 5 years old, so I don't remember her that well. I see, Kanon said. Her expression remained unchanged. What about your parents, Kanon? I don't have any. They died during the war. The bluntness of her response made my hand stop, the string still stretched between them. Sensing that we were treading on some serious ground, I hurried to change the subject. Do you have any friends? No. Well, I used to have one. Her use of the past tense made me fear the worst, and I was right. He was killed too, by an arms dealer named Alphard. Oh boy. Oh boy. Her tone was dry, matter of fact. Taking revenge for his death is my sole purpose in life. Despite the gravity of her words, her face was an unreadable mask. She seemed almost incapable of human emotion. So, what sort of person is this Alphard? A destructionist who masquerades as a terrorist. Destructionist? That sure wasn't a term that came up a lot back in Japan. Alphard doesn't believe in God and holds no political ideology. God dang it, Alphard! The chaos and destruction just to earn money in order to carry out more terrorist attacks. So you're saying this Alphard commits terrorism because it's fun? Kanon nodded. That's why every now and then Alphard changes loyalties. It's always Alphard's fault. Just when you think you found ties to some Middle Eastern terrorist organization, it turns out the job was for the American CIA. That's not good. What the heck? So Alphard stands for nothing then? Kanon smiled dismissively at my little childish outburst. I couldn't help but feel a bit patronized. I told my fingers turning the cat's cradle into a bridge. Kanon's eyes fixed right back on the string. A tiny surge of pride replaced my annoyance. She went quiet, watching closely as I worked my fingers. The tension in the room faded as the silence between us lengthened. My stepmother's the sort of person who couldn't do this sort of thing, I said at last. For some reason I had a sudden urge to talk about my personal life. I guess she cares about herself more than looking after her children. She's not a bad person, though. She gives me weird bits of advice, like telling me to find someone to date, or that a woman's life is defined by a man, but it's not like I hate her or anything. Would you mind teaching me? Kanon asked softly. What? How to find a guy to date? No. She shook her head. Then she pointed at the cat's cradle strung between my fingers. Oh, you mean this? So I took her by the hand and started to teach her the cat's cradle. Hey, do you mind if I ask you something? I said after a while. What's that? The friend you mentioned earlier. What was he like? Kanon's fingers went still. It's better if you don't ask. If I tell you, you won't want to come here anymore. That's not true, I insisted. Even though I'm a terrorist, she replied curtly. One who uses fear and violence to attain political objectives. The term has its origins in the Reign of Terror in the 18th century France, known in French as La Terreur. I swallowed a sudden lump in my throat, unable to find words. We fight for righteousness, but you people call us terrorists. In the religious sense, the state of being virtuous, free of sin, and observant in the proper rules of moral conduct. Not the same as being in the right, though many people equate the two. Am I wrong? She cast a quick look at my face. But I mean, you protected me. My voice wavered as I replied. All I did was take down some thugs. I just didn't want them around. What could I say to that? I just stammered. Nah, I'm just messing with you. Huh? Kano flashed me another slight condescending grin. I was just joking, don't worry about it. But I didn't get the sense that everything she said was a joke. Even if calling herself a terrorist was an exaggeration, the world Kano lived in was unquestionably a dangerous one. I could tell that from the cold look in her eyes, a look you'd never expect from an ordinary teenage girl. Just what sort of hardships had she endured to acquire that deadly stare? Having lived all my life in peaceful Japan, I could scarcely imagine. Kano tried and failed several times to get the cat's cradle right, but she didn't give up. She worked fastidiously by herself, fingers continuing to shift awkwardly about. Okay, here we go. She hooked the string around her fingers and spread her palms, but the string shape just collapsed into a jumbled mess. Confound it. Okay, one more time. You can make this into a game with two people, you know. I plucked the string from Kano's hands. You pass the string back and forth. Why don't we try that? It's more fun than doing it by yourself. I wrapped the string around my fingertips. What do you say, want to give it a go? Kano looked dubious. The intricately intertwined strings were like the world in a way. What had started as a single thread was now something that couldn't be undone just by pulling on it. I held my hands out, twirling the string around my fingers. Kano took the pattern from me and spread her palms apart. She made a perfect bridge between her hands. The shy grin that came to her face made her finally look like a normal girl. I followed suit with a childish little laugh of my own. And, as if in a blaze of sunshine, the fog that's been hanging over my mind finishes receding. I remember everything. My name is Maria Osawa. My sister is Hitomi Osawa. And Kano, she's a dear friend who I met in a far-off land. She helped me once again, and now it's my turn to help her. I close my eyes as I reflect upon these precious memories, all the dearer for having been lost. Now when I try to picture Kano, I can do so clearly. It's just as I thought before, my memories are what make me who I am, and I would never choose to forget them. I feel almost as if time had stopped for me while my history was gone, and now it started moving again. I'm finally back to being me. Please don't shoot me right after I get my memories back. And I have to go. I have to go back there one more time. What? 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 What do you mean, end of her story? What? Don't you dare tell me that that's the end of Maria's story.